everybody, it's Dave Murphy,
And Zach Roberts.
and we're doing the Spider-Noir after show. We're going to be discussing episodes 2 and 3 tonight. Zach, what do you think of these two episodes generally?
I really like how the show's coming together. I was a little kind of uncertain on the first episode. I still dug it. Like I ended the first episode I watched in color and I then watched in black and white, and I was like
Oh, wow.
I was really surprised at how well, because like a lot of movies, I don't know how much like you guys already broached this on the first episode, but like there's a lot of movies like they did that with Mad Max, where they came out with the Chrome version where it was all black and white, and been
Right.
doing that a lot. And a lot of times I'll watch it and I'm just like, it just feels like they just put it on black and white mode.
Hmm.
Like did the Lightroom setting. It was just like or
Right.
whatever, and like
Exactly.
and like late the laziest black
Desaturate.
and white. Yeah, exactly. And I'm just like, but this like I don't know whether I haven't like a bad failure to start like not actually having looked into it, but like whether or not how much they thought about the process, because like the color version to me really has like a colorized like look to it. Like I was trying to think about like what is this like kind of color palette that they're trying to build here. And it really, if you've ever watched like black and white movies that have been colorized, like this is kind of what it looks like early days when they started having color. Color was trying to save give black and white films a
Right.
second life. They started
Sure.
doing that kind of what, probably in the 50s and 60s, I think.
Yeah.
And or I guess it would be 60s and 70s actually. But um and so like it kind of had that feel a little bit, which is something I really like. But it's the black and white stands a lot upon its own. It doesn't look like a desaturized version of the color version, because the lighting, everything like that is absolutely amazing. So they must have gone through and really reworked the black and white in a
Hmm.
way that I think is, and also, and obviously the biggest thing is that they thought about it ahead of time in a
Sure.
way. Obviously I think they had this planned, so I mean like it's not too
Right.
surprising. It's not like they finished this entire thing and be like, oh, why don't we put it in black and white, type of thing. And so yeah, it's something I highly recommend people do if you're like kind of into that. If you really do like the show, is that like rewatch at least one episode or two. Like I don't think every episode rewatching it is really worth it, because it's not like there's bonus features or like Easter eggs or something like that
Right.
that are appearing when you watch it differently.
Yeah.
But it's something I really enjoy, just thinking about like, oh wow, the lighting choices, everything that they had to do ahead of time, just truly incredible kind of technical work, that they don't really do that much. I mean, like there's not like, unless it's on a big movie, but like even Mad Max, again, like go back to the Mad Max comparison, I don't think that that really felt like it was like, oh, it's another, I hate to say it, it's just like, oh, another chance at a little bit more cash and people will buy the special edition DVDs or
Right.
whatever. I'm like,
Yeah.
guilty, guilty. You got me. But
Yeah, it's definitely rare. You don't see it very often, and when you do see it, it's mostly with films. It's
yeah,
very like I've never seen it done with a television show that I can remember. I mean, the only time you see black and white versions of a TV show is when they've colorized it, and it's
yeah,
the legacy show.
yeah,
So I applaud Amazon for trying this out.
yeah,
And I don't know, kind of, I'd be interested to know at the end of this, like what was the more popular, right? If they
yeah,
ever release those statistics, which they probably never will, but it would be nice to know which version got more view time.
yeah, yeah. I mean, I would bet. I've kind of decided that I'm just watching this in color, because I think that the
Right.
color, because it's an interest. If it was just like a normal superhero kind of TV show color palette and everything, and like the way they
Hmm.
kind of decided things,
Right.
uh then I wouldn't necessarily care. But I mean, like the fact that, I mean, like I have like one of my biggest notes is like the cost, like just realizing, like watching the costumes, like Robbie Robertson's the journalist character,
Yeah.
his suits are like just amazing. And like the color, like just the wardrobe is wild, like especially for, and it changes, it matches every character, has like a developed, even the shoe shine boy has like a fully developed kind of costume, and like it fits his character. And has that's been really incredible. Like it's kind of in a way that like you're like, oh, this is like super high budget noir age films that there wasn't even that many of.
Right. No, I'm watching it in color, and well, I like the fact that black and white exists. I don't see myself necessarily going back at it, but like you said, maybe I'll watch an episode with it. on, or maybe the finale, right?
Yeah.
You know,
I would like I would actually really recommend the first one just because of the fire and everything like that. Like I think they did. I think that's really amazing because like capturing black and white fire with black and white is actually like really difficult. And like I just remember like flashback to film school, like we actually had a film class on how to film fire because it was especially like back when you're shooting 16 millimeter on a Bolex, it was a problem like to shoot it easily, and most of us were shooting in black and white too. So like you can't just like do a campfire setup and think like, oh, this will just turn out like it is going to be on a video or like it is on TV. You have to actually like kind of
right? Yeah.
light it and think about it and things like that. So
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think, again, like I said, I applaud them for it, and yeah, I'll give the premiere a shot because yeah, that's where you want to get, of course, the most attention. And in this episode two, we follow up with sort of Kat, who's coming to Ben and essentially helping her find Marco,
yeah,
Flint Marco. And I love how they integrate all of the old Spider-Man like villains and characters into
yeah,
sort of the narrative there. And then, we learn a bit about Kat, and basically that, Silvermane owns the alcove and says that she has personal reasons for searching for Marco. And we find out in episode three that essentially they're an item,
mhm,
but Marco has his own issues with the sand, right? Him being a sandman,
yeah,
and uh, I think Silvermane's he's going to be obviously the big bad throughout the series, and at least this first season. So it's been interesting to see how he's been played and uh, utilized throughout these first couple episodes.
yeah.
They definitely done a good job of building up his presence as a sort of, again, big bad, right?
Yeah.
Someone you want to be intimidated by. What do you think overall of episode two?
I just rewatched. I literally just I watched it like a week and a half ago, and then I just rewatched it again. I thought this was again kind of like I said in the opening was just like this is a good starting to develop things. I like how it's it's I think really doing the noir thing well, where they have the dames, they have the bad guys, and they have just this complicated kind of mesh of story that like I think episode two is like confused me a lot.
Yeah, me
Just because
too.
the first time I watched it, I kind of watched it very passively because I knew that I was going to rewatch it for
Oh, okay.
this. And so the first time I watched it, I was just like, I have no idea what's going on. and like the second time I watched it, I'm like, oh, okay. Now because by the time I had watched the second one, I had already watched the third episode, so it's kind of like mixing everything together.
Right.
And so it was like, oh, cool, that makes sense. And these characters are these characters. I yeah, I'm always really bad. Like I don't read like one of the reasons I don't read sci-fi is because trying to follow more than like three characters for me it's,
Yeah.
it's my comprehension is so terrible. So I'm just like I either have to just let these characters not be ones that I pay attention to and just focus on two or three. But yeah, but this I think it's really interesting on how they kind of were developing, introducing characters and building out this kind of this one might say a web of deceit. Oh,
Very good.
and yeah, that one wasn't right there. And so that's been like that was my big thing, and also like the witticisms are like really coming out left and right. I'm kind of like there's this fantastic scene when he breaks into that couple's home that he used or apartment that he used to live in to get the
Hmm.
spider suit
Oh,
and
yeah.
it's just like the fact that he's like locked in the bathroom. It's like everything is okay in there, and it's like just a bit of an existential crisis about my toilets. And so like it's like they really are doing the noir right in a way that not just like I think a lot of movies do when they're trying to do noir. They're like I kind of the idea of a noir is what they're doing, not actual noir.
Right.
Um, and I think one of the only like the only one of the only movies if you haven't seen Brick, which is absolutely fantastic. It's like a noir. It's a high school It's a high school movie about a murder, and it's just all. It's like very very noir. That like is one of the few other films that I can think of in like the last. I don't even know if that was 20 years ago, 25, 20 years that have done this really well. And this is kind of taking obviously a little bit, obviously a more of a comic, take on everything, but it's yeah, it's fantastic.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, that's, I think, also shines true, right? It is being a legitimate noir, not just a noir coat of paint,
Mhm.
and so that's really interesting to see. But it does provide a bit of confusion when you're trying to follow who's who and what are their motivations, what are they trying to do,
Mhm.
because we have the Ben's journalist friend Robbie Robertson, so he's interviewing Addison's widow and learning about the money she spent. We see she's living a luxurious lifestyle, eating lobster. And I think they do a really good job of emphasizing and hitting home the fact that this series takes place during a
Yeah.
recession, because we see one scene where it's pretty disgusting. The guy's putting ketchup in a piece of bread and
Oh,
eating that.
yeah.
And I'm like, oh my gosh,
Yeah.
Robbie, no.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I hope that was something better tasty than just ketchup. But
Yeah.
hey, if
No. No.
the
No.
actor
That's.
ate that, then I give him kudos.
Yeah. Yeah. That was rough.
Yeah. But it's good to meet Robbie. I would have thought, who's the competing reporter that Spider-Man? Brock? Is it like who becomes the black Spider-Man? Oh my God. Why am I blanking on the name?
Eddie Brock is
Eddie
he the
Brock. Eddie Brock. I'm surprised
in
like they didn't.
like Venom, who becomes Venom in
Venom,
the
yes.
Spider-Man
Yeah.
3, I think it was. Yeah. Um,
Surprised they haven't introduced Eddie Brock yet.
I mean, so this is something that was like, I read the first graphic. This is not like something that I like the Spider-Noir series was just something I knew about for years, but not something I ever really got into. So like just a, week or two ago, I read the first compilation of comics, the first graphic, the first kind of like story burst. And it almost has nothing to do. There's almost like it actually made my kind of like following of characters more confused because there's a character in the comic that's Ben that's I don't think he's Ben Riley. He's let me see if I still have my notes around. That is uh yeah. I don't have it. Is Riley? His last name is kind of Nick Cage's character, but he's not Spider-Man. There is basically a Peter Parker in that first graphic, who's like a younger, kind of classic Spider-Man. As a younger kid, very innocent and kind of angry, and uh, and so there's like kind of a combination of characters and kind of a mushing that they did around like with Jonah Jameson and things like that is around the Silvermane isn't I don't think he is named Silvermane. He's his nickname is like the Goblin. And so yeah, it's I don't really know where they're or no, it's not. I'm sorry, it's not the Goblin. That's a different character. There's a whole swath. The villains are slightly different, but there's some in there. So it is something that I kind of commend them for as well, is that they kind of took this as like a base idea and then decided to create their whole own thing, which is something I usually like in comic book movies. As somebody who doesn't usually read like devotedly one, like I'll read Spider-Man for like usually an artist or a writer's kind of run. Like I read, Todd McFarlane's run of Spider-Man way back in the day. Like I've read that devotedly. And then once it changed, I kind of like left. And so uh I'm not like I don't have like a like oh I wish oh fuck they combine these two storylines and I hate it and like something that I never really cared about. So I'm like really happy that they're kind of in the way that like James Gunn is doing. It was just like he's kind of creating. I know that Man of Tomorrow is based on a comic run. I know, but
Right.
it's very much he's pulling in characters like I like this character, I want to have this character on screen, and this is why, and I'll write him into the movie, and that's what I want to do. And so that's something I've liked about what they've done with this, as opposed to kind of like running directly and just kind of be like, oh, we got storyboards and we can just make a movie out of it.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
And over the course of the episode, we find, Marco's condition is worsening, but he also meet his friend Lonnie Lincoln,
Mhm.
who is, of course, known as Tombstone, and he has unbreakable skin and superhuman strength. And then eventually Ben becomes the Spider again, which is great to see him in action. And he gets into action because there's an alcohol shipment and Spider defeats Silvermane's henchman, intimidates him into leaving Ben and Janet alone. And then later, Robbie tells Ben that by confronting Silvermane, he unintentionally saved his life because the police had planned to ambush the docks.
Yeah.
So, ending the episode with a pretty, cool action scene. And of course, bringing back the Spider, right? Because
Yeah.
that's what we want to see. He's been retired for 5 years. And they don't, the show does a good job, whether it be because of the budget or because of whatever, of kind of drip feeding the whole
Mhm.
spider sequences and stuff. Like
Yeah.
it's mostly just a talkie drama with people in rooms, but occasionally you get like a little bit of special effects or a little bit of, the spider doing something. So I think that they're doing a good job with how they kind of reveal his powers and what he can do, and they don't overwhelm you because they give you that in the beginning of the first episode to, I think, help people ease into that idea that, hey,
Mhm.
you're not going to get to see this a lot.
Yeah.
And then I know through the trailers, obviously it's going to become more and more.
Mhm.
But yeah, it's interesting to see how they just kind of they bring it in slowly but surely.
I'm really enjoying how it's something that I literally just as you were talking that I just like kind of realized is one of the reasons I enjoy this is the fact that there's a oh God, I wish I could remember the comic. There's a comic ages ago, probably ages like 20 years ago, that is or it's maybe it was just a cartoon of like Spider-Man in like the Midwest, and he only has like it's like he's on a farmhouse and he can't he can't web anywhere, he can't fly anywhere, and like so I'm liking how they're using like that scene when he basically takes down the motorcade of Silvermane, and like there's only like what 4-story buildings all around, and the fact that like kind of the science, the like the mathing he's doing in his head to kind of like, oh, I can flip this car, block the road, and kind of do things
Mhm.
like that. And so I'm really enjoying the way that they're showing the limit, kind of the limitations that you don't have, like he can't really in a lot of New York City. Obviously, this is I think filmed in all in Los Angeles, but um, a lot of in a lot of like old timey New York City, it would have been really difficult for Spider-Man. Be like kind of Midtown Manhattan. He can go from the Empire State Building to the Chrysler or whatever, and but like he can't like like it is in modern New York City, even in like Brooklyn or something like that. Like you can kind of move around, but yeah, I'm loving that. Like the pulling, knocking the guy out with the old timey radio was super fun. And what are you thinking about the webbing? Like, I know that's always the question. Like, I like how it's shown and how it's used. I am curious though, because as the person who gets like kind of sometimes obsessive about this, is just like most webbing in the comics and in the movies have like a dissolve kind of to them. And
Mhm.
so like as a guy who's sneaking around and kind of like working around, I'm curious on how the webbing works when he like, uses it to block a door from locking and things like that.
Right.
And so like they don't notice it. I don't know. I doubt they'll ever deal with it, and I kind of hope
Mhm.
that they don't deal with it because it's such a stupid, not not even a nerd thing, but just a stupid thing to care
Right.
about. But yeah,
Yeah, like how long should the webbing exist in the space before it kind of goes away,
yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah,
I've honestly never really thought about it, but I don't mind the way that they've treated the webbing here. And, I think every Spider-Man movie and film and property like plays fast and loose with the properties of webbing,
yeah,
in terms of just how long it's supposed to
yeah.
last. I mean, in the new Spider-Man movie coming out, doesn't he get organic web shooters or something? I think that's a plot point or something. At least
Is it?
that's what the trailer seems to allude to, I think.
I have a strong belief that everyone should let people love their version of Superman, Spider-Man, Batman, whatever, and not kind of
Right.
shit on them. I just have never cared for Tom Holland's Spider-Man. And not
Really?
Tom Holland. I like Tom Holland as an actor. I like
Yeah.
him, what he's doing with it. I love Zendaya as Mary Jane. And but the movies themselves, I am in no way, shape, or form. Like the fact that the first two are basically Iron Man movies, and then the third one is not great, not a great movie. And then
Hmm.
so I'm hoping that this one, the fact that I know Marvel can't allow Robert Downey Jr. to not be in a role, but and so he's returning in some way, but it's the fact that, I'm hoping that with Iron Man being gone and the fact that he doesn't have the tech anymore, which is something I just never enjoyed in any kind of Spider-Man. I don't want the
Right.
strong, I want Spider-Man. I want the kid in a, trying to figure out how to do things and
Of
sciencing
course.
things.
Yeah.
That's what I always enjoyed. God only knows if it'll I like I said, I haven't watched the trailer at all since I know it dropped, but I keep hoping that eventually he'll turn into a photojournalist, because that's the reason I like Spider-Man originally. And the fact that they've gotten rid of that as a thing in a lot of the comics has always, was it grinded my gears.
Yeah, no, yeah, it'd be nice to see like Spider-Man the photojournalist
Yeah,
and just follow him doing like a photojournalism assignment and not even like anything superhero related, but it would be cool like if he integrated a little bit of spider stuff, in the
yeah,
in the background.
yeah.
I don't know how you do that, but just I don't know, getting into an area where he's not supposed to get into to try and get the shot.
Well, I mean, what I would love is that they actually, I mean, they did it a little bit with the turning Jonah Jameson into a Alex Jones kind of type,
Right.
which is one of the reasons I despised that show, that one, is because I was like very angry that Jonah Jameson is a person. He may be like a New York Daily News kind of style editor that like people get angry about or whatever, and like he just wants this whatever sensationalist. But at the end of the day, he's a fucking journalist, and and it's something that like my every reading of all the Spider-Man comics I ever read is that that's something that really established he's not a sensation, he's not that kind of sensationalist. He's not somebody who makes up things and lies or whatever. When he is presented with the truth that Spider-Man actually is a good guy, he changes. And like that moment, he's like presented with facts and changes. And the fact that they did that in the original, that or in that movie, really pissed me off because it's just Jonah James is such a great fucking character, and just ruin him to be a Alex Jones knockoff. Which I mean, like the direct parallels there. I mean, like that's what they were
Right.
doing. No one
Of
can deny
course.
that. But
Yeah.
yeah, that really took me off. But yeah, well, we'll see what they do here. But it would be funny in the original in the next movie of him in 2026 trying to make it as a photojournalist in New York City. Because like even I remember even in the 90s it was like a joke. Like it was like a broke photojournalist was a thing. But like now in 2026 you'd be like, well, I got to upload to my wire service really quickly and try to
Yeah.
beat the Associated Press or whatever. It's like, yeah.
Well, it should be more like,
Mhm.
hey, I got to do this viral dance for
Yeah.
my TikTok
Yeah.
followers.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
gotta be an
Doing a
influencer. Although
yeah.
Spider-Man could be the best influencer,
Yeah.
but then it'd be like, well, okay, where do I send the paychecks to? For the company. Oh, just send it to Peter Parker. Oh no, wait. Oh
Yeah.
no, wait.
Well, I mean, that is actually something interesting that they do in this show is that like because I mean back to the show we're talking about, but is the fact that he just straight up like something that I always love in kind of that they I think James Gunn did really well in the most recent Superman is that like the kind of the joke that they don't it's the glasses take the glasses on and off and suddenly it's a different person
Yeah.
and like they had a whole bit in that about it that I think like at least made fun of it and also kind of explained it away. But the fact that like wait why is the spider defending Ben Riley, and it's just like wait a minute, they're always in the same room, like how any smart person should be able to kind of like put this together pretty quickly. And even the fact that like one of the scenes that I had written down was the Tai Chi when he he's confronted by two of
Right. Yep.
Silverman's goons in a room and he's trapped and he puts out his fingers, doing the Spider-Man,
Mhm.
movement, and then he realizes, oh crap, I'm in a suit. I'm in an overcoat. I can't do this. And then he just goes, Tai Chi, it really helps your and like yeah, that was a really that was a good line for like all I mean I'd say all of the lines was like this is a really Nick Cage um written. Like they certainly obviously it was preordained that they were going to have Nick Cage be in it, but I don't think they could have not had him in it if they were even going to do this show. But it's all of this is just like okay, everything is made for Nick Cage in this.
Yeah. Yeah. No, absolutely. I mean, they've written to his strengths for sure.
Mhm.
And I think they've done that since, honestly, he played it, in the cartoon.
Oh
Because,
yeah,
I
yeah,
mean, when you have a Nick Cage type, you use Nick Cage,
yeah,
to
yeah.
all
You got to
his
go full Cage,
capabilities.
yeah,
You
yeah.
full cage, right? You never go half cage.
Yeah.
Uh, but, anyways, in the episode 3, in terms of story beats, so Ben gets hired by Silvermane because he wants to find out who leaked the liquor transfer. And then we learn that the officers were tipped off by the mayor. I got to relook up his name here, Alfred Morris. And then Robbie Robertson, the reporter, he goes to a poor neighborhood and he questions Lonnie Lincoln about but he witnesses a raid ordered by Morris, forcing Marco and Lincoln to use their powers against the cops. So we get some power usage stuff here, which is pretty neat. Again, like to see the superpowers. I thought it was cool in the first episode when they introduced, the human flame or whatever, whoever
Mhm.
it was. And so, again, it's good to see a show like this getting a little bit of a budget to do some special effects work. And I think, this could easily have been sort of a cheap cash grab or a cheaply done show, but Amazon is putting they're putting their backing behind it, which they seem to do like on the first seasons of shows, to try and get
Yeah,
people
yeah, yeah.
like in it, like they did with The Boys and they did with Invincible, and then like they slowly just pull back the budget over time,
Yeah.
evidenced by season 5 of The Boys.
Yeah. I love season 5. So
You did? Okay.
well, I mean it's written for me. I mean, come on.
Okay.
I mean it's a
I mean,
Christian
I didn't have anything against season 5.
Christian nationalist superhero. Yeah, yeah.
A lot of people were disappointed in it. I mean, I wasn't a comic book reader of The Boys, so I can't
Yeah.
I could care less. I thought it ended fine, but there were some power issues, I think, in that last fight anyways in the White House. I don't know. Were you okay with the sort of final fight in the White House?
I think that the there is I'm trying because I've like actually read like a pretty good explanation of this, but I think that after the I'm blanking on the I think his powers are kind of all over the place throughout the series, but I think that it has so much to do with his emotional state. And like to me that's always been like kind of something you can be like he just but he's the he's chicken shit. He's a chicken shit character. And that's kind of the whole point is that he's never had a real fight. And the moment he's confronted with people that know how his fight, powers work and who have like can at least like last a minute in a cage with him kind of thing, is that he usually tries to run. And the moment that he couldn't run, and then his powers get taken away. So I mean, spoilers.
Right. Yeah.
But and so like after that, it was kind of fine. And so I mean, I think that I don't know. I think it worked out. I wish it was a little bit longer scene because I just uh, I wanted a little bit more of a satisfaction of him getting his ass handed to him because he's such
Sure.
a garbage character, or not garbage character, but a garbage person. His character is a garbage person. So
Hmm.
I mean, everyone, he was so fantastic. Like he just owned Homelander, and the actor whose name is leaving me right now, he just owned Homelander like just so perfectly. It's amazing, like when you see photos of him when he's not in the role, and he's just a completely and totally different person, and it's like
Hmm.
it's just like changing his hair. Like it's one of those like you could actually believe that he could get away with doing kind of the Spider-Man, doing the whole Superman thing, because it's like really it's just his hair is slicked back and a little bit and blonder, and that's it.
Hmm.
Like that's really the different changes. They didn't do kind of like anything, other than his costume, obviously. But even when he's not in a costume, he exudes that kind of complete asshole that he is.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, he played the character so well. I only hope that it doesn't like get him typecast.
But
That's
that's what
like,
that's what I hope is that like he I mean the fact that he's also British, so he'll
is he British or is he Australian? I think.
Australia. I'm sorry. That's sorry, Aussies. Yeah, he is Australian.
Oi.
And so it's just like I think that also helps is that you can drop that accent and be somebody else,
Right.
And the fact that is, he's like wearing a big costume, and that's like how he's known. It's not even like Thor where like it's the only thing. I think he can very easily he'll go get another TV show playing like kind of a normal person or an
Yeah.
action, star
Yeah.
or whatever, and then in 5 years we'll kind of forget that he was Homelander, So unless he has to do the American accent or whatever, but then that's a problem. But you
Right. Or he decides to do the,
can do a different
what is
actor.
it? When they do the convention campaign, right?
Yeah.
But hopefully that won't be for many, many years
Yeah.
because I know that's something most celebrities do maybe towards the end of their careers. But
I mean, they still. I mean, the difference is that it's much much bigger money now. So I mean, like they certainly
okay.
do it a lot now, because I mean, like you have oh my God, Mark, Jeez, my brain. I was like Luke Skywalker. You have like you have all these really big characters still doing it that are in films because now they're charging like $250 per signature and things like that. I mean, William Shatner still charges I think he's at 200. And so, yeah, no, I'm going to sit there and sit and shake some hands. I mean, and like,
Easy money.
get people to love you. I mean, like that sounds like a great job. No one is in line to yell at you and be angry at you. That sounds like, and they're just be like, here is money. And I'm going to put my arm around you and take a photo for 45 seconds. And I just have to chat. And I'm basically making $1,000 an hour. And I'm like, yeah, no, I don't know how many actors, like Tom Cruise is not going to do it, but there's, I think everybody else is easily do it. And also it keeps the show going. I mean, people, embrace the characters and in a way that they wouldn't before. And if they didn't have that kind of, characters appearing on panels at Comic Cons and stuff like that. So
Yeah, and I would never buy a photo from a celebrity. I don't think there's a single celebrity that drives me anyways.
for the
Is there one?
prices, there's a handful that I probably would, but like everyone that Malcolm McDowell is one that I met at a horror convention in Utica, New York,
Mhm.
and I'm still trying to get him. Hey, if you're listening, Malcolm McDowell's agent, I sent you an email. Please respond. I'm trying to. One of my favorite films is this film, Oh Lucky Man, and it's his probably second or third film he ever did, and it's his favorite film. He talks about it endlessly. Um, Not no one ever asked him a question about it, but he like literally on the panel that he was on at the horror convention, he brought it up like three times because everybody's like, oh, I loved you playing this voice in this video game or whatever, and he's like, yes, that's very nice, guys. So Lindsay Anderson was this great director in the 1970s. And so I caught him kind of coming around and like glad handed him, and I just like shook his hand. It was like we both, like my friend Russ and I, like Oh Lucky Man is one of our favorite films. He stops dead and talks to us for 5 minutes, while his agent is like like because he's got to go sign autographs and make money down there at the booth. And like I was just at that time, I was like, if I had the $50 to get one, I would have done it. But I just was like, I was too broke to do that at that point. And also just in general, that does irritate me, but I also understand. I don't know. I don't need a photograph with them. Like I usually I have photographs of him and I'm like, that's it. I mean, it is always funny that I've met all these people and interviewed all these people. And I'm like, I don't have a single photo of me with any of these people.
Yeah, yeah. If I want to photograph with a celeb, I will put my camera up, do a selfie mode, and have them in the background, and
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
good enough for
Steal it.
me.
Yeah.
Exactly. Or maybe I'll work with them on a film, and then I'll just take an actual selfie with them.
There you
But
go.
that's
That's a
that's
little bit
always the
more
dream.
expensive though, if you have to cast them in,
True, true. But
even with SAG rates.
I know, right? Yeah. But hopefully I'll get investors, right?
Yeah.
That's the hope.
There you go.
Anyways, Janet, who is Ben's secretary, discovers that the three people with powers, Addison, Lincoln, and Marco, were former prisoners of war. So perhaps their powers derive from this particular prisoner of war experience. Ben finds out that Carmidi, who was Carmidi again? Why, all these names. Anyways, Carmidi lied about Kat's husband to gather evidence on Morris, and that Kat arranged the meeting. And he concludes that Kat leaked the transfer and hired Addison to burn down Silvermane's mansion. So that was a big story point from the first episode: who burned down Silvermane's mansion.
Mhm.
And then we see a cool scene where Ben breaks into Silvermane's vault and takes cash from his vault, which we find out later that has been marked by Silvermane and plays a pretty important story role later on. And he takes that cash, pays Vera to leave town before she exposes Kat. But then, of course, the episode ends when um, Ben and uh, Kat are discovered leaving, and basically they're brought to Silvermane, and basically this is where the marked bills come into play,
Yeah.
and Ben then frames Winston by using his money to pay Vera. So it's pretty neat, kind of double play, double. I can't remember. Did they establish that he marked the bills? I think they did because they have a little kind of flashback to it. So he does
Yeah.
identify that to Ben, which is why he's
Well, I
able
think
to
he's
do
using
that.
the money. I think that he's using both the money that he stole and he's using the money that Silvermane paid him
Oh yeah.
as a
Mhm.
thing. So I don't know if they established that Ben marked the bills in that way. I think that flashback is Silvermane doing it.
Mhm.
If I remember, I could be completely wrong on it, but that was at least what I kind of got from it. Obviously, it's just like kind of a close up shot of somebody marking the bills, but I think he just had that money because he got paid the retainer up front, and then the bills that were up in question about getting paid that got the guy shot was the ones that he stole out of the safe, because he specifically stole $1,000 if I remember
Right.
correctly. So yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Because like all that cash is there, but he just steals what he needs
Hmm.
for the act. And then I like that scene. He's in the bedroom and they
Yeah.
turn on he's got like the lights on his eyeballs or whatever
Yeah. Yeah.
his
Yeah.
eye mask.
Like LED lamps, basically.
Hmm.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which technically shouldn't exist, but
Well, I mean, neither should a spider that's shooting from,
I
a
know.
Spider-Man. I love that, like that scene, like really showed the costume design and the character design of the spider in such an incredible way. Like very much, other than the light thing, obviously, but using like practical kind of like, oh, he would have a ski mask and it's sewed in, and he would use,
Mm,
and just kind of everything's well thought and well built, but it still is kind of things that were available at the time. Again, other than the lights, which maybe one day, one episode will explain what's the deal with the lights or the lamps, but and how he can see through them. That's the biggest thing, is seeing through them. But like when it like this is, I think, one of the scenes that really shows. It'd be interesting. I didn't get a chance to go back and watch that scene in black and white, but I think that that scene would probably be
right.
amazing in black and white, because you just see his eyes kind of like looking through, and you have like the lighting, lights going through. I I'm I don't know if I want to. I think I might wait until the end to kind of go through end of the season, to kind of go through and like watch any of the kind of the behind the scenes stuff, because I'm like, I don't know if I want to know if a lot of stuff is green screened or whether it's practical. Everything looks practical, but just because the lighting is so well done, whether or not it's just like, oh, that's just a lighting design they just put into whatever green screen or blue screen setup or whatever. I'll probably hold off on that, because I just kind of once I know something's all green screen, it kind of just I'm like, what are we doing? Like, why are we making movies if you're just doing it in front of a screen? Like, I don't understand. But
Budgets, man. Then budgets, I guess. I don't
I
know.
mean, is it? I don't know. I always kind of have a hard time believing that doing stuff in front of a green screen and spending the money on computer people, as opposed to just like, we got a room here on the set in Warner Brothers studio, whatever studio, like we can just do that. It's not like old timey 1930s 40s rooms don't exist on studio sets still today. So I mean, I
Right.
don't know. And just, throw some
I mean,
chairs in there, get them. Yeah.
the whole set is like a backlot in
Mhm.
LA, I imagine, right?
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean, that's where they shoot it, and it's got this whole 1930s aesthetic. So yeah, it shouldn't be a huge deal to add, an extra thing. I think they're also using some volume, it looked like, for some
Mhm.
of the backgrounds.
Yeah.
So, I mean, do you like volume better than green screen if they have to choose one or the other?
I don't know. I want practical on everything. Like, if it's possible, I just don't understand. Like, when a movie has any kind of budget, like, just there's ways to like put it in a fucking room. I don't know.
Yeah.
Like, it always seems weird to me. Like, I mean, I will say though, like this actually brings me up to a point that I think didn't talk about in the first episode, the last episode two, is I am loving the way that they do establishing scene. Like, if every time they move, for the most part at least, every time they move to a location and then into usually an interior location, they have this extreme wide shot, and it's usually pretty low. They did this a lot with Silvermanes. Like anytime they kind of like have Silvermane sitting down and talking to somebody in a chair, it's this wide shot that it kind of establishes everything. It's usually a little bit like maybe like waist level kind of shot. And I'm just like starting to know that, like, just noticing that, always interested, because like the first two episodes were done by one director. The second two episodes were done by another director, and I think the next one or two were done by a different director. And it's interesting that like almost none of these guys have. They all have kind of weird TV backgrounds, weird TV and like weird action movie backgrounds that don't really kind of fit what this show is, but they're
Mm.
doing, it's excellent. Like there's a lot of like Mortal Kombat. Like the writer, the showrunner, Oren Uziel, is what do you do? I think he's the writer on Mortal Kombat, the Cloverfield Paradox, and that was an okay movie, The Lost City, another Amazon movie with Sandra Bullock and Channing Tatum. and it's just such a weird mix of people that I just don't. It's like, how did you pull all this stuff together? And like, it doesn't, like you watch Andor and then you look through his kind of back catalog and you're like, oh, this stuff makes sense, a little bit. And you watch different TV shows and usually there's like, oh, this guy did this, so yeah, that makes sense. But with these directors and episodes, they're doing a fantastic job, but it doesn't make any sense of what they're doing.
Right. Yeah. No, I thought both these episodes were good in terms of moving the story along. I hope we're getting a bit more action. I know we're getting more action later on. I mean,
Yeah,
uh, s- uh, f- uh, whenever they're doing something with superheroes, right, they save the big set pieces for the beginning and the end, right?
yeah,
Because that's what the budget allows. So, I'm not going to look forward here, but I got to imagine we're going to get some big set pieces later on, especially once he gets fully into, spider mode and
yeah,
is doing all the cool stuff and flying around. But overall, though, I mean, again, it's doing a great job living in the noir, theme and style. And yeah, I'm enjoying the show. I think it's doing a great job. Somebody online said that this is like the best Spider-Man that they've seen. And I don't know if I necessarily agree with that, but I think, overall, uh, Cage is doing a great job portraying Spider-Man,
yeah,
and I'm also eager to see how this will then nest in with the next animated Spider-Man multiverse film.
yeah.
If we see perhaps anything that he's done in this either get referenced or get played off of that. I doubt it because they probably recorded the lines for that like 6 years ago. For however long it's taken them to actually make that, but you know it's interesting to see how close we get to this, and I wonder if this is going to be something where perhaps instead of doing multiple seasons of whatever Spider-Noir, maybe they do a season of Penny Parker and the robot,
Yeah.
Spider-Man or whatever. And
It's I'm fascinated on the kind of I haven't looked into it, but I'm fascinated on why this is on Amazon and what the rights situations are, because like the Spider-Man rights are such a weird kind of there's been a 10,000 articles on like, well, Sony owns this part of it and these characters and they can't use these characters. And so, but now, Disney owns some of them and uses some of them and whatever. And so I wonder how much, I mean, I wonder how much that is why you have, Sandman and you have Luke Cage and you have the Flaming Torch and you have kind of all of these that aren't actually these characters and the names don't match or anything like that. I wonder how much of that is kind of just an interesting way of writing it about, kind of a write around, which is fine by me. I don't, it's a multiverse thing, so it doesn't. They're not going to have the same names. They're not going to have the same characters. But the fact that like you have this kind of interesting kind of background on why this show is here, then whether it'll have any sort of effect, because we've established a multiverse in the Disney movies, and we're about to go into a new Disney Marvel cluster. Um, I'm like the only person in the kind of world just not looking forward to that film at all. But I'll go see it in theaters
you're not
probably
looking
opening night.
forward to the next Avengers movie,
No,
Doomsday?
no.
Oh, because they're bringing too much back.
I don't understand. Like I mean, like they did
Money,
all.
Zach,
Oh
money.
no, I mean, yeah, I understand that. I don't understand as a story, story way. And I'm just like, yes, I'm sure it'll make $1 billion and everyone will love it. And every Redditor will be like, doing things. I won't get into it on how much they love it, but it's just, I don't know. Like I like let's move fucking forward. Like let's not like beat a dead horse. Like and I like I would be more excited for it if they weren't bringing back Robert Downey Jr. in this weird ass way. And now there's just all this stupid this conjecture about like, oh, are they going to recognize him? Is it really him, or is it just him playing another character, whatever? And like I kind of have this feeling it's just going to be the lamest fucking thing ever, and it's just going to be like it's a multiverse thing, and that's going to be it. And you're like, okay, well, this isn't interesting at all. Like Doom, oh, yeah, I don't know. I just I want to see new character. I love so many of the new characters, and the fact that like the fact that they haven't used them, they've done them in like whether it be Miss Marvel or whether it be yeah, Miss Marvel, or the newer Marvel. I forget what her. character's name is. And you know, I think they're great characters. It's just they've been in the movies, and the way that they've used them has just been absolute trash. Like they've had like really bad fucking writing and really bad kind of storytelling with it, and they've been like really trying to lean in a way that like these characters are great. We don't need to go like women get it done, stupid shit, like that type of thing. And I'm like,
Right.
that's literally there so that like the like Snyder Bro kind of type people can like make fun of it. Like, because that's the only thing that
Yeah.
anyone gets excited about. Like, it gets angered about. You know, like women, like no feminists aren't like excited that this is happening. I don't know. It's just it pisses me off because it's like somebody in some boardroom was like, this is a good idea. This the libs will love this or something. I don't know what, but it's always a stupid thing. But anyway, but yeah, no, again, I don't, you know, other people will enjoy it, and other people can enjoy it. I just, it always sucks because I'm like, no, I would like to see new films with new characters and new storylines, as opposed to like we're going to just rehash kind of everybody made a boatload of money off of this, and I don't begrudge anybody coming back for the incredible amounts of money that they, I mean, like if you're, you know, if you're Chris, you know, if you're Captain America, and he was so fantastic in that role. I just wish, I mean, frankly, I wish we could have like another Captain America film like that isn't Civil War or
Mm.
one of those. But I know we won't get that, but you know, it is what it is.
I mean, I don't think we're gonna get, you know, another Captain America with what's his name? You know, I mean, I don't
Yeah, I
think
mean,
Captain America is coming back full time, but
yeah,
I
no, the
just,
writers did that. The writers did him dirty on that film. Oh my God, poor Harry.
yeah,
I do love it. Or at least Harrison Ford. I don't know if you saw any of his interviews that he did when that. He was like, "Why are you doing that?" And he just, why, what, you know, why are you like reprising? Like you're in the Marvel universe, you're in this universe, you're in this universe. And he's just like, you know, what are the choices you're in? He just leans in. And he goes, "It's the money." Like, it's like, yeah, no shit. Like, why else would he, you know, a well-respected man like Harrison Ford turn into a red monster and smash things as president? I'm like, oh God, I hated that storyline so much. But
yeah,
yeah, but no, we got Supergirl coming up, so hopefully
yeah,
that's good.
Supergirl,
I'm super excited for that. We got Lobo, you know,
right?
as a character who I'm super excited for the light fandom, the fan, you know, to find out who Lobo is. Because he's, I hope, I would gun is going to be an interesting like walking on the line, because Lobo is such an insane character. He ranges from, you know, a rated PG-13 to a rated like triple X, kind of depending on who's writing him. And so it'll be interesting how far they have fun with that. But as far as I can tell, the story is basically just John Wick. Like her dog is his dog is poisoned, and she's going out to get a cure and basically get revenge. And I'm like, I am fucking for this. Like a
Yeah,
genuine superhero. But yeah, but
yeah. No, I
yeah,
mean, you know, there's a lot of haters out there because people love to hate.
yeah,
But I'm gonna give this film its due diligence. I will give it a watch in honesty, and I hope it entertains. You know, that's all I ever want from superhero, you know, media is entertainment, and
yep,
I I don't place any sort of, you know, express mysticism or, I don't know, grandeur towards these products. They're just content to enjoy a story, and that's all I take from it.
yep,
So if it
yep,
brings me that, then I'll be happy with it.
definitely.
All right. Well, is there anything we want to say about these two episodes of Spider Noir before we sign off for the evening?
Um, we're doing like, oh God, what is it like? I did, you know, enjoy that they're like, my kind of like last take is the fact that like there is a running, the fact that they are mentioning, it's like, it's not just, uh, the Great Depression is not just a backdrop in this, that there are moments. There's this great scene. I didn't get the full note, the full quotes, but there's a great scene when Ben Riley and Silvermane are talking on this call it a porch balcony of looking over Central Park, where many of the Hoovervilles would be. And they're talking about kind of wealth and, you know, power and things like that. And it's like, um, I can't read my notes, but I was like, I had it written down, and I'm like, "You're lucky." Oh, yeah, the quote that Silvermane gives is, "You're lucky you don't have anything for people to take." and he's like kind of doing the begrudged billionaire, and we're like, I'm so
Mhm.
repressed because people are constantly trying to kill me and take things from me. And Ben Riley's character is just like, okay, yeah, sure. You're so bad. And he's just like, I don't have, $2 to rub together, but yeah, you're in the bad part. And there's a couple quotes before that were fantastic. And I just like, they don't need to necessarily do those things, but I think that like it adds like a nice little depth to uh Spider-Man traditionally is kind of is a poor guy, almost always. Like I can't trying to think of any of the comic runs. I'm sure there are comic runs where he's like doing okay. Like depression is always his like kryptonite kind of thing. Depression and broke and rent being due the next month is kind of his kryptonite. Like if he had those two things, he probably wouldn't have that many problems. And so that and his girlfriends or wives dying, and that's always a problem. But it's I'm liking what they're doing on this. So yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Great.
Cheers.
Cool. Looking forward to episode 4, and then every episode beyond that. By the way, I asked this of the other my other guest or co-host or whatever. Um, do you like the fact that all the episodes drop at the same time, or would you have rather them been released week by week, like seems to be the norm?
I for the most part, unless it's a show that I'm like wildly excited for, or like the second season of a show that I've been watching, I usually wait, which is like I know it kills shows and I know it's very bad for like shows that you love. I usually don't watch everything until the end. Every at least 3 or 4 episodes are in, because I like to binge episodes. But so it doesn't really matter to me too much. The only thing that irritates the out of me is I don't watch like a lot of TV shows on Amazon Prime. Their setup is infuriating. The fact that like literally the show ends, they show one credit thing, and immediately there's this 5-second countdown, which
Oh
like
yeah,
I go, where's the remote? Because I'm like, I don't necessarily want to watch the net. I know it's like that's like Netflix has done that for years and everybody's kind of, does it. But the fact that there's like no way to, I don't think there's a way to turn that off. Because I'm just like, no, for this purposely, like I am watch for this podcast, I am watching the show episode by episode so that I
right,
don't know anything. I kind of like doing that if I'm talking about a TV show for, this kind of purposes, to not necessarily know everything so that I'm not accidentally going, well, what this means is this, because we're going to see this 3 episodes later. And it's like, that's not, to me, that's not fun if you're doing kind of a recap kind of show, because, that's the way recaps traditionally for the last 20 years of podcasting has always kind of been, is just kind of drop, okay, right after the show ends. But yeah, you can't do that with a show that drops all at once. So
right,
there's no
yeah,
there's no not really a reason to do it either. So
yeah.
yeah.
Oh, by the way, I saw, speaking of shows and next episodes, I saw the stage play, The Stranger Things, the first Shadow.
Okay.
I was up in Broadway and I saw that, and it's pretty good stage play. I gotta give it credit. I think they do a really good job of using the stage element and the theater element to display a convincing and compelling story. And at the end of the play, they have like a screen, like a
Hmm.
giant screen where they can project video, and
Yeah.
there's a little in the lower right hand corner, credits and a continue watching bar. So that was pretty funny. And then they go to credits, and then it's the
Yeah.
roll call
Yeah.
at the end of
Yeah.
the play
Oh
with all the
God.
characters. So
I don't know if I like that or not. I don't I'm so
it just
I'm
reminds you that yes,
yeah.
this is a Netflix
I
play.
mean, I love the joke. If I was in that theater, I probably would have laughed my ass off. But like, as kind of an idea, like I just wrote a whole thing about how for ECV podcast, my other podcast, I wrote a whole thing about how um uh was it Fox is just bought Hulu, or bought not Hulu, but bought Roku, the device, the TVs and the kind of the operating system kind of thing. They also means they got Howdy and they got a couple other streaming services, and so we have this kind of combining of TV show of again, like it's kind of like the big studios like from the 1930s like and 40s, where it's like that you had 5 studios that own the theaters and they owned everything and they own the actors and kind of thing, and we're kind of accelerating our way back into that in a way that his like it's what it is accelerating is it's accelerating me going through it. I'm like, okay, what movies do I need to own? Buying them on Blu-ray, the basic Blu-ray for $15 or whatever. And then I'm going to
Right.
start, my friend Russ also started, I'm going to start one myself once I can afford hard drives, is a Plex server at my house so that
Oh,
I
cool.
basically can just set up my own streaming service and I don't have to, I can kind of get rid of, because I'm really, obviously we're all spending a stupid amount of money on streaming services, but like I can start getting rid of some of them because I think that it's like, it's going to be the next 5 years of like movies. It's just going to be terrible. As we talk about a conglomeration of like Sony, Marvel, and Disney and Amazon, the kind of all the worst things. We're talking about that TV show that's still creating decent art, but it is, I think, just going to get so much worse in the next couple of years where it's just with the comment, Paramount and HBO just got the clearance to
Mhm.
go through because the DOJ antitrust division was like, problem with one of the richest people in the world worth $388 billion owning an unbelievable, like if you go to the wiki page and see how many things that Warner Brothers owns, and how many things Paramount and Skydance owns now, and you're like, I don't know what movies are being made at this point, like it's
Mhm.
not touching some sort of thing. And it's just like, we have that, we have Disney, and then we have Netflix is owning its own like little word, and there's conversation about Netflix buying IMAX, and so it's just kind of like a wild, yeah. Anyway, that's I can't handle not ranting, so
I
I've
know,
done
right? Of
yeah.
course, that's your thing, man. Yeah, no, I like the idea of the server. I've seen a lot of YouTube videos talking about it, having your own thing at home, and I think it's quaint and it's nice. And if you can, if you got the time to put it together, yeah, go for it. I also like the idea of getting, movies from the library,
Yeah.
or games from the library, by the way. So that's always a great place to go
Well,
to
I mean,
to
that's I
rent
mean,
or
that's a great
borrow.
thing is that like you go to the library and you can rip the DVD. And
Yeah, it's true.
I used to do that with the Redbox. Back in that, I miss Redbox endlessly.
Yeah.
But used to do that, rip the DVD and then have the movie and whatever, just rip like a 1 gig version of it.
Hmm.
And yeah, so yeah.
There we go. Let's sail the seas. Awesome. All right. Well, again, this has been the Spider-Noir after show podcast. Thanks everybody for tuning in. We've talked about episodes 2 and 3. Next week is episode 4. For Zach, I'm Dave, and we'll see you next week. Bye, everybody.